could for me, Will, because 2022 has really been an atrocious year for police killings. The police have been banging out here horribly in a very, very bad way. The website Mapping Violence has been documenting police killings across the country, and I'm not sure is it's animating, right? It's moving around. Is it just a still image, Will, or is it the actual whatever? Maybe it's just a still image. But they have a very interesting animation at the top of their page, Mapping Violence, where every red dot there represents a police murder. And as of the end of November, I think as of November 27th, police have murdered 1,054 people in this country. That number likely higher now, just because on average, the police are killing about 3 people a day. Now, in a country the size of the United States, 330 million people, a big, huge country, three a day may not sound like a lot. It sounds like a lot to me, but. And then I think about like some of the concert venues that I go to. And I can very easily name a couple of rooms that hold about 1,000 people. So if you told me at the Anthem in DC, which is one of the newer music venues in DC, I'm assuming holds about 1,000. If the place was packed and somehow everybody in the place died or got killed, that's a lot of fucking people. Like you can very easily visualize 1,000 people out of here. And that's exactly how we need to envision that. Okay. So police have been out here killing at a record rate. And what we have not seen has been the commiserate response in the streets, specifically as we did in 2020 after the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor uprisings. And we have had, and I'm not exactly sure as to why that is. I'm not sure if people got complacent. I'm not sure if people got tired. I'm not really quite sure of the reason, but we can never take our eye off the ball of police violence because it is police violence and state violence. Obviously, I'm definitely thinking about Kevin Johnson here. He should be counted as part of that number, killed by the state. The young man who was executed this week in Missouri, just a horrific situation there. But I want us to keep that number in our head and check out this piece from the Los Angeles Times. And the headline reads, Legal settlements put police agencies on notice about new use of deadly force restrictions. And I said, look at this shiny piece of propaganda. Because as the police have been out here killing at a rate unseen since these numbers have been documented and tracked, I don't think the police are second guessing any fucking thing before they open fire on people. It does not put police agencies on notice, the legal settlements, that is. So, hold on, let me get into this. So, days after Governor Gavin Newsom signed a 2019 law meant to reduce the police shootings, law enforcement union leaders began telling officers that the new policy didn't really change much at all. It did not put more stringent limits on when police can use deadly force. It did not put more stringent limits. Said the president of one of the state's most influential police unions that they wrote in a memo to its members. Hold on, don't give me the window. That it wrote to its member agencies and, quote, will not significantly impact the way law enforcement performs their daily jobs, according to documents made public with the recent legal settlement. Alarmed by the, quote, misinformation campaign targeting new restrictions on police and their use of deadly force, the American Civil Liberties Union sued the Pomona Police Department, back in July of 2020 for adopting policies and training materials influenced by the union's effort to undermine the law. So, under a settlement agreement reached last month, the Pomona Police Department will be required to train officers on deadly force and compliance with the 2019 legislation that Newsom signed amid national protests against deadly police killings of unarmed Black men, including the shooting of a Sacramento man in his grandparents' backyard in 2018. Civil rights advocates hope that the settlement will finally end the years long disagreement over the importance of law and on the law rather, and send a warning to police departments around the state that they must comply with it or face legal repercussions. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm sorry for sniggling. And I'm sniggling because do you think that these police give a fuck about legal repercussions? So long as we still have qualified immunity, people can sue these police departments. They can sue the state. They can sue the city. They can sue. These police have no incentive to stop killing us. None. And while I applaud at least some laws going on the book, it's about law enforcement, right? If the laws are not going to be enforced, then what? Taxpayers just continue to pay out these multi-million dollar settlements, obviously to deserving families of victims of police violence, brutality, and police murder. But does this disincentivize the police from killing people? Apparently not, because 1,054 people as of November have been murdered in this country by police officers. I really think that people are gravely mistaken about what the consequences are or what they are not when police kill people. Usually they go on paid administrative leave. That means paid fucking vacation. You don't have to go to work, but you still get a paycheck despite the fact that you murdered somebody. Most states still have a police officer's law enforcement bill of rights. The police do not, if they kill somebody, they don't need themselves to submit themselves to interrogation or offer up a statement to investigators for like 7 days. I mean, it ranges depending on where in the country you are, but the bottom line is police are not required to talk to the police, other police, when investigating a police murder, which, sounds pretty fucking sweet. And they get a lot of legal representation help from their unions, powerful unions. And the police unions ain't shit because the police are not actually workers. They are there to protect the elite class. And in this article, like, again, I'm not so sold about whatever settlement that the Pomona Police Department had to do. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to training, this is how these police are trained. They are trained that they have to make it home at the end of the night. Fuck everything else, including the Constitution, including the Fourth Amendment, including, people's right not to be executed on the street for either minor infractions or no infractions at all. And the ways in which these police murders are overwhelmingly racialized against Black and brown people, with us overwhelmingly being the victims of these policemen. We have to get the we gotta get the defund back. We gotta not to say that the defund police call and abolish the police call that they ever went away, but they were so easily diminished and demonized by mainstream media and by elected officials, particularly elected Democrats. Fucking James Clyburn. I'll never forget that. Jimmy Clyburn sat up there and said defund the police was a catchy slogan and cost the Democrats seats in 2020. Okay. Meanwhile, the police are overwhelmingly killing us, and nobody in Congress seems to bat an eyelash. They just think it's very normal for the police to murder 1,000 people across the country. And my assumption, well, I'm guessing that number is actually accurate because it's tracked by journalists and people who are cop watchers. Okay. When the actual numbers come out from, let's say, the FBI, because again, federal law enforcement agencies, they don't have no oversight over individualized police departments in cities and states across this country. They really don't. They ask these departments to submit their crime information, particularly their use of force information, and for those that were killed by these respective police departments. And the majority of police departments, they don't submit that shit. They don't submit that shit. The American government itself does not have accurate official data on how many of its citizens are killed by agents of the state. And even within that number, 1,054, I believe those are just the people that were literally killed, shot and killed by police. It does not include the amount of people who died while in police custody, those who died while waiting for an opportunity to get out of jail. They may not have been able to afford to bond themselves out. We don't even have an accurate number of those deaths in this country. America is a death camp. That's it. It's a death camp from start to finish. It's a death camp. There's a we have been so socialized and conditioned to accept mass death in so many different forms. I'm telling you, this country is in a very deep psychosis, and I'm not sure if America has the ability to wake up in mass, but that's why we got to wake people up one at a time, one at a time.